Hey everybody, welcome back to the Do Good Show. My name is Ryan Jones and I am your host. If you've been following the last couple of episodes, you know that we've been talking about CreatorCon, which is a conference that I host for creatives and entrepreneurs, economic developers and students, and anybody that is just generally interested in entrepreneurship. It's a great way to connect and gain knowledge and some actionable items for you to grow your adventure in business. We're going to keep that train rolling here with a conversation I had with Thomas Jones on the main stage. He was our keynote speaker this year. And for those who don't know him, he's from Big Stone Gap. He played 12 years in the NFL, which is incredible. He was a running back, played for my favorite team, the New York Jets, for a couple of years. Really wish they had him now. They're 1-7 this year. So he's now an entrepreneur. He's an investor. He's an actor. He's a producer. Does a lot of different things, a lot of different projects. In this conversation, we talk about his upbringing and people who played an important role in his life. And tragically, his high school football coach passed away, Phil Robbins. He passed away the week of CreatorCon. Phil played a crucial role in Thomas's life. He shares some of those stories. Our hearts go out to his family. I played against Brad Robbins, which is Phil's son, in high school and in college. And I know he's going through a tough time right now. I lost my dad in 2017. It was and is the hardest thing that I've had to go through. So I'm thinking about you, Brad. Hang in there, man. And in this conversation, we also talk about Thomas's acting and producing career, as well as a creative platform he created and founded called Caster, which is essentially a creative platform like LinkedIn. It's connecting creatives to industry professionals. And for those of you out there that don't like LinkedIn, like me, perhaps this is a platform for you. It was great having Thomas back home, and I hope after you listen to this episode, you are inspired, you're motivated to continue on your journey of being a full-time entrepreneur and creative. It's not easy. Key takeaway for me in this discussion, especially for those in the Appalachian region from where I'm from, is that location is no longer a barrier. It doesn't matter where you are, it's what you're doing. The current landscape of the economy and social media has made geography irrelevant. So go get some people in your corner who are just as fired up as you about your project and keep pursuing your dreams. With that, I'm going to play this sick highlight reel that I edited that we played before Thomas came onto the main stage. For those who are listening, it shows clips from high school and college and NFL, and a little bit of his acting career as well. It's a good snapshot of Thomas. So let's roll that footage and get right into my conversation with Thomas Q. Jones. Let's get it.
Let's go up to the podium with the 7th pick in this first draft of Y2K.
With the 7th choice in the NFL Draft 2000, the Arizona Cardinals select Thomas Jones,
Good.
running back, University of Virginia.
Good. That's the correct pick.
To play, the draw after. Jones again, dancing, moving. Thomas Jones. He's got candy for everyone. Thomas Jones. He's loose. Touchdown, Thomas Jones. Jones brings you the corners. Wait for loading. Then left. Cuts inside the tail. Welcome to the Meadowlands. The four-wheeler's leg never stop pumping until he reaches the end.
We'd like to talk to you about Gene Aubuchon.
What happened to Gene?
He was brutally beaten in his motel room.
Was it a robbery?
Well, robbers usually aren't as brutal as what happened to him. This was personal.
I wanted to, show you guys that I was more than willing to talk to you, give you whatever it is you needed so you could rule me out of this.
This guy was mauled. I mean, I think it's pretty safe to say that, you're not a suspect. It's a nice house.
Who are you? You're with, Suge Knight? Ice Cube?
Have yourself a good night, Jerry.
Hey everybody, how you doing? Man, I'm so happy to be home, man. So happy to be home, man. Thank you so much for inviting me back. I came back yesterday, and as soon as I landed Tri-Cities Airport, man, I'm like, start getting butterflies. I'm like, I'm home. And the drive home, you come into Gate City. I look to the right. I keep thinking about all those big Gate City football games back in the 90s, basketball games. And then you get towards Duffield. And then I get towards Mountain Empire on my left. And by the time I hit Big Stone Gap, I'm almost kind of in tears. It's like, man, so much of my life happened in this area. And so I'm just honored to be back. And I'm happy to be in front of you and have this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here, man. This is great. We're so excited to have you at this conference. CreatorCon, we talked a little bit on the phone. This is their third year. It's really just amazing to bring you back home. This is really, truly a special part of the event. We'll be talking about your time in professional sports, obviously, what you're doing now, how being from this region has impacted your life and your career, as well as some maybe tips that you can offer the audience that will help shape their entrepreneurial journeys. We know that you've had an awesome NFL career, but you're also an actor, producer, and an entrepreneur, and an investor, and a philanthropist, and the list goes on. So you're one of our own from right here in Powell Valley. Take us back to your childhood and early days. What was life like, and who were the people that helped shape you?
My early life here was just like everyone else's, man. It's a great place to grow up. It's really, really good people, hard workers, God-fearing people. All of the morals. My mother and father were coal miners, and my mother worked underground for Westmoreland for 19 years. And when you grow up with coal mining parents, there's just certain character traits that you just naturally develop by watching them work and watching the people in our community work. Coal mining is one of the toughest jobs, and that's literally what football is. It's grinding, it's consistency, it's showing courage in the face of danger, it's working as a good teammate. And so, being a part of that community of coal miners, the morals that I was able to kind of learn and take with me on my journey when I left the 17th, literally 30 years ago, and went to UVA, that's who I am. Regardless of whether it's an NFL game or a movie set or a TV set, that's just the job. It's just the job. How you get there and what you do when you get there is what matters. And everything that I learned coming from this area, I took with me. And that's the reason why I was able to continue to move forward. Dedication, hard work, again, the mindset of a coal miner is what I took with me. And that's the mindset I have forever. I'll always have that mindset. And I have that mindset now as I continue to push forward, whether it's as an investor, whether it's as an entrepreneur. It doesn't matter what arena I'm in. I'm a coal miner's son. And that's what motivates me and pushes me to continue to try to accomplish whatever the goal is.
Love that. We were saddened to hear about the recent passing of your high school football coach, Phil Robbins, which I know is an important part of your life. I mean, what a legend he was. I feel so bad for his son, Brad. Brad Robbins and I played against each other in high school. We also played against each other in college. And so I feel really bad for him. I lost my dad a few years ago. I know how that is. It's really tough. But given how much you've talked about some of those people that helped you on your journey, share about how he had such an impact on you and your life. We were talking a little bit before in the green room, some of those stories about after football practice and watching film and stuff like that. So, tell us a little bit about your relationship with Phil.
Yeah, well, my condolences to you and after losing your father as well. It's a tough loss, man. Football in this area is huge. It's big. When I was coming up, I had dreams of playing in the NFL, but my first dream was to play for the Powell Valley Vikings. I wanted to be a Viking. My older sisters were cheerleaders, so we would go to the games, and I would just feel the energy. I would, see the bright blue and the red and the Viking on the helmet, and just as a kid, it's your life. You look forward to every Friday night home game. And Phil Robbins was, to me, a genius coach. And he understood the game like, I can say probably maybe no other coach that I've had. He was a student of football, and I learned this throughout my relationship with him. When I was in 7th grade, we played peanut football in Big Stone, and we won the championship. And I remember after the game, I had a conversation with Coach Robbins, and he was like, "I can't wait to coach you when you're Viking." And we connected at that point when I was 12 years old. And in 13 years old, I played 8th grade football, and then in 9th grade, Coach Robbins moved me up to varsity. And back then, Powell Valley we were stacked with great players, and it was just hard to get on the varsity team. They had juniors, they had sophomores, they had juniors, they had seniors. There was just too many talented people to move a freshman up. You had to play JV. You had to wait your turn. And he saw something in me that made him want to move me up to varsity. That was who he was. He saw talent in you before you even saw it in yourself. He was able to motivate people to be their best, even when they didn't know it. And so he moved me up in 9th grade, and he let me play in some of the big games, and he had a plan for my career. He eased me into the games. He didn't just throw me in there and too early where I could maybe get hurt or injured or not do well. And he threw me in there and gave me some opportunities. And in my sophomore year, I thought I was ready to go, and I wasn't. But he created an offense where I was able to start, even though I wasn't starting at tailback, I was starting at wingback. He gave me the opportunity to get game experience, play in the games, learn how to play receiver, learn how to block, all of the fundamental things that I needed to learn as a football player. And then my junior year, it was like, are you ready? And so my junior season was when I had a breakout season, and me and my teammates, we won the state championship. We beat Sussex Central down in Big Stone. And what's interesting is after every game, I didn't go home. I went home, I took a shower after the game, and I would go back to Coach Robbins' house. And I would sit in the living room with him, and he'd sit in his chair, I'd sit on his couch, and we'd watch the game, offense and defense. And a lot of the other guys after the game, I know they were probably hanging out, but I had a really special connection with Coach Robbins. And we watch every game, and we go through the different defenses or the fronts or the blitzes, and we just got really, really close. And I did it again my senior year. And he was instrumental in just my decision, with UVA. There were a lot of schools at that time that were recruiting me, and from all over the country, Notre Dame, Virginia, Florida State, Penn State, all the schools. And, I had multiple conversations with Coach Robbins about where I should probably go and what felt good. And he also protected me from recruiters because they're very pushy, and they want you to come to their school, and they, call, and they would show up at the school and things like that. And he protected us, protected his players. But Phil Robbins will always be a special person to me. He's been instrumental in my football career as a teacher, as a mentor, and even as a man. The culture that he created at Powell Valley was the culture that I took throughout my whole career. I expected to be the best. I expected to do the work. I expected my teammates to be the best. We expected to win every game. We expected to win the state championship every year. So when I went to UVA, I was expecting to win every game, win the national championship. When I went to the NFL, I was expecting to win every game, win the Super Bowl. That's because of Phil Robbins, the culture that he created at Powell Valley. And Barry Jones as well, who was another incredible man and incredible coach. But it's a tough loss, a big loss. He affected a lot of people's lives in a positive way. And I'm praying for Patty and praying for Brad and Wes and Andy and everyone that was close to him, because it was definitely a tough loss.
I know you're still connected with Brad. I was glad to know that. Brad was probably a ball boy when you were in high school, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Brad was a ball boy. He had his Florida State jacket on, and I remember.
Which is doing some big things now.
Yeah, they have a big game against UVA this week, so hopefully they won't do well this weekend. But but Brad, and then just to see Brad, I follow Brad and we stay in contact, and I'll see Coach Robbins. Scary, I've seen his journey as a coach. I've seen him go from being a football player and being an incredible quarterback in high school to college, and then seeing him get in the college ranks and then work his way up to where he is now. I've been a part of that process just by staying connected and encouraging him and being so proud of him. I remember him when he was like this big, and now he's like this coach, and he's got a lot of responsibility as an offensive coordinator. I think they had a huge win the other night. I see Coach Robbins. I see Coach Robbins in everything he does, his facial expressions, his mannerisms, how successful he is as a coach. And that's the impact that Coach Robbins had on everyone, including Brad.
Walk us through that day on the NFL draft. Like when you got the call, we saw it in the opening video. Didn't have HD back then. I just want to throw that out there.
I'm old, y'all, so.
Sorry, I had to do that to you. What was that moment like? Can you describe the emotions that you were feeling? This isn't exactly an everyday occurrence for someone from Appalachia. So walk us through like your emotions from that day.
I'll be honest with you. And I know this is on camera. I probably shouldn't say this. I was fortunate enough to go to UVA and start for 3 years and produce at a level that gave me, a first round grade. And I figured, through all of kind of the draft analysis that I'd heard and all those things, that I would be in the top 10 picks, maybe even top 5. And so I was expecting to go to Baltimore at 5. That's what kind of most people were saying, and then some people were saying Arizona. So at that time, they only invited the top 5 potential prospects to the NFL draft. So it wasn't what it is now, where it's like 30 guys and it's like a whole thing. It was like the top 5 guys, that's it. And so I was there because I was supposed to go the 5th pick. So the draft comes on, we're all behind the stage, and, I'm excited. I'm thinking I'm going to Baltimore. I'll still be close to Virginia, my family, my friends. I can shoot back to Big Stone if I need to. And the first pick goes Courtney Brown. He goes to, from Penn State, he goes to the Browns. The second pick, I think, was either Chris Samuels or LeVar Arrington. They go to the Redskins, both of them. So the second and third pick go to the Redskins. The 4th pick's Peter Warwick. He goes to the Bengals. So everyone else is gone. Literally, it's the behind the curtain at the NFL draft looks just like this. Everyone at tables, and they'll have their own tables. So imagine you're the only one left. Everyone else is gone. Their families are gone. Their agents are gone, and it's just me and my family at a table. And so I'm waiting for the 5th pick, and my phone doesn't ring. And I'm watching it on TV, and I'm like, wait a minute, hold on. It was the loneliest I've ever felt in my life. I'm like, man, I'm sitting back here by myself, and the 5th pick is about to be announced, and my phone hasn't rung. I'm like, maybe it's a surprise. Maybe they want to surprise me, And then Tagliabue comes out, and he says with the 5th pick, the Baltimore Ravens have selected Jamal Lewis. And I was like, oh, no. What does this mean? Were the was the analysis wrong? Did the teams, not think I was what they thought I was? What happened? And so I'm nervous at this point. So all of the happiness that it was like, oh, wow, okay, what's going to happen? So then the 6th pick comes. I'm like, okay, Philly, take me. I know they don't need a running back, but take me anyway. Get me out of here. Get me from behind this curtain. And then they pick Corey Simon, a defensive tackle. And so the 7th pick is the Arizona Cardinals. I had heard that I might be going to Arizona, but I didn't think that I would go past the 5th pick. And so the Arizona Cardinals on the clock, my phone rings. 602 numbers, Arizona Cardinals. And I'm like, hey, we're going to draft you. You ready to be a Cardinal? And I was like, yeah, first of all, because I need to get from behind this curtain. And second, my dream was always to be an NFL player, and it's about to happen. But, it wouldn't be right if I wasn't honest and say it was a little bittersweet, because I wasn't looking forward to going all the way to Arizona. All I've known is Virginia, Big Stone, Appalachia, Southwestern Virginia, Charlottesville. That's all I've known my whole life. And Arizona is all the way out, 3 hours behind. I don't know anything about Phoenix. I know the team's not really that good. So there was really no upside outside of just me being drafted. So it was a bittersweet day. But I wouldn't change anything, because my career ended up in the space that God wanted it to be. And I ended up going to the place that I was supposed to go for things to end up the way they ended up.
So your journey from this area to the professional level, I think it truly highlights your remarkable grit and determination that it takes. I mean, you spent 12 years in the NFL, which is an incredible feat. The average player lasts only 3 to 4 years, maybe 3.5 years actually. But what was it that fueled that drive and perseverance? And can you share some of the mental and physical hurdles you encountered, perhaps a specific story or challenge, obstacles you overcame?
Yeah, again, the mindset of being from Big Stone Gap. When I went to UVA, when you go to college, and for all of you high schoolers, when you go to college, the first question, the biggest question you're going to ask and are going to be asked is where you're from. Everyone's going to ask where you're from. That's how it's kind of like a conversation starter. So at UVA, when people would ask me where I'm from, I would say Big Stone Gap. And they would say, what? Where's Big Stone what? And I'm like, Big Stone Gap. They'd be like, where is that? I'm like, it's in southwestern Virginia. Like, so it's in West Virginia. I'm like, no, it's in southwestern Virginia. And they're like, southwestern Virginia. So they were just confused by the name, the region. They didn't know anything. And so it kind of became like the running joke. It kind of became a running joke with, some of my fellow classmates and then guys on the team. And I'm from Big Stone Gap. To this day, if somebody asks me where I'm from Big Stone Gap. That's where I'm from. That's where I'm from. That's who made me who I am. So my goal was to make sure everyone knew where Big Stone Gap was before I left UVA. And eventually, the questions weren't, where's Big Stone Gap? It was, he's from Big Stone Gap.
Hey everybody, sorry to interrupt the episode, but I wanted to let you know if you are a founder or an entrepreneur in Southwest Virginia, you need to be connected with Opportunity Southwest Virginia. This is a program of UVA Wise. And if you are somebody that is like looking to start a business, or you're somebody that is trying to grow your business, or looking for additional resources that's going to help you grow, Opportunity Southwest Virginia is a great starting point. So get connected with them at opportunityswva.org. They're a great organization. They're a huge supporter of the work that I do. And so please go get connected with Opportunity Southwest Virginia and start growing your business today.
And I took that mindset into the NFL. Although they didn't ask where Big Stone Gap was, because they knew, I always felt like I had to prove myself because of the idea of where I was from, because people thought that I wasn't supposed to be as good as I was because of where I'm from. And so I had a chip on my shoulder throughout my whole career as a football player to make sure people understood that I'm from Big Stone Gap. I'm from Southwest Virginia. That's where I'm from. that's what molded me to make me into the man that I am today and the football player that I am, or that I was. And so that's what drove me. That's what gave me the motivation. Thinking of my mother and my father working in the coal mines, thinking of all the coal miners, thinking of being disrespected merely because you're from a place that someone isn't familiar with. And I think that's the beautiful thing about coming from a place like this, an area like this. It's an opportunity for you to bring people here. It's an opportunity for you to bring a piece of your culture and a piece of what makes you who you are to the world. It's a special place. And that's driven me throughout my NFL career. And I still use a lot of that to drive me now, in my endeavors, because I do feel like some of the most talented people are in areas like this across the country. But a lot of times you only think you can make it if you're from Atlanta or New York or California or Miami. It's not true. Most of the people who are doing what you want to do are from a Big Stone Gap. They're from a Wise. They're from a Coburn. They're from a St. Paul. They're from an Appalachia. They're from a Gate City. They're from a Clintwood. You might not know where their towns are, right? But they know, and they probably use the same motivation that I used. And I want to make sure you all just keep that at the forefront of your mind as you move through your journeys, is understand where you're from and understand that you're good enough to do what anyone else is doing.
That was great.
Give it up.
So beyond the plays and the highlights, what was a key takeaway from your professional career that you might still carry with you today?
I mean, I retired, I think, 13 years ago. So even watching the highlights, I definitely couldn't do any of that right now.
I don't know. You still look pretty fit. So
man, it's the jacket, man. It's the jacket. It's the fit. I mean, there's so many lessons I learned. There's so many people that I met along that journey. I think it just goes back to, again, me and my dad. My sophomore year, I would sit on the front porch. We lived in Appalachia, and I'd sit on the front porch with my dad. And, I always aspired to go to the NFL, but I didn't have an example in front of me that was from the area. I was fans of Powell Valley players, Keith Hall and, all those guys, Matt Stidham and, Chad Bishop and I was fans of these guys, guys at Appalachia, guys at Clintwood. I knew all the football players. I was like a football historian in our area. And I saw these incredible football players, and I was waiting for one of them to, make it to the next level. But for some reason, it just didn't happen. And so I didn't have an example in front of me that I could look at and say, okay, he did this. This is how he did it, so I'm going to follow that. So I was going merely off of just my ambition and my dream. Then I'd ask my dad literally almost every night. We'd have conversations on the front porch, and I would say, Daddy, do you think anybody will ever know about me from here? It's a really small place, and I've seen all these other great players, but for some reason they don't go on to a bigger school or the NFL. And he would just say, listen, you do the work and the rest will take care of itself. And that has stuck with me throughout my life. Do the work. Do the work, and the rest will take care of itself. Do the work. Do the due diligence. Be consistent. Another thing I live off of is I call it the 3 C's to be. The 3 C's to be, right? Confident, be confident. Courageous, be courageous. Consistent, be consistent. The 3 C's to be. The 3 C's to be are what I used to get to UVA, what I used for 1,000% in the NFL, and it's what I use now. And I think going through the multiple teams I played with in the NFL, the adversity of losing my job, getting my job back, being traded to a team after I thought I was going to get a contract because I had a good year, and then playing on that team and having a great year, only for them to draft a running back as the 4th pick the next year from my competition. And now it's another uphill battle. And then I finally beat him out for 2 years, and I actually played in the Super Bowl, and I have 100 yards in the Super Bowl. Then a month later, I'm traded to another team. Now I'm in New York, and I'm looking around, and it's like, man, we're 4-12, and I'm like, how did I get here? I thought I was going to be in Chicago, and then you have to build yourself up in New York City, and then you end up going from 4-12 to being a first-team All-Pro, and then getting released by that same team that you were an All-Pro for, and then going to another team, and then being able to help them win a division, and then retiring. It's an incredible journey, but the 3 C's to be are what I used to be able to work my way through all those adversities and continue to thrive and come out on top.
That's amazing. Hope everybody wrote that down, by the way. That's great. So we're gonna go beyond the game here. Retiring from football, you've been incredibly busy. Really cool to see this new kind of creative career that you have. Give us a rundown of, like, what is this life like now? Where are you at? What are you doing?
It's a little, it's not chaotic, but it's interesting because I'm a busybody. I've been a busybody since I was a kid. I'm one of my mom would be like, boy, sit down somewhere. I'm always everywhere. I'm talking, I'm running, I'm here, I'm there, and my son is just like me. I've turned into my mom. I'm telling, boy, sit down somewhere. What are you doing? So retired isn't really a thing for me. It's a word. It's not really a lifestyle. Life keeps going. And the one thing about life is there's always something to learn. There's always something new to accomplish, new to experience, different cultures to explore, different cultures to learn from. There's so many different things that you can be doing. And so when I retired from the NFL at 33, I didn't know that. I thought I'm retired. So I'm supposed to just, sit on the couch but I just couldn't. I couldn't do that because that's just not who I am. And so I needed something to do. And I was fortunate enough to be introduced to acting through a mutual friend. And I felt a lot of similarities between acting and football. And every time I say that, people are like, what are you talking about? With football, you have a playbook. So the more you know your playbook, the more you're going to be able to play. You're not thinking, you're just reacting. If there's a blitz, you're not thinking, oh, do I have this guy or that guy? You know who you have. You just have to block them. The 2-3 seconds you're thinking about which guy you block, oh, they ran over you. Quarterback sack, strip sack, fumble, like that quick. Same thing with a script, TV script, for your role, your character. The more you know your lines, the more work you do on the backstory of the character, you make that character you. When the director says action, just like when the quarterback says hut, you're in the character. If that scene takes 20 seconds, for that 20 seconds, you're in that character. Just like football, the ball snap, boom, it's a blur. Everything's happening so fast, and then it's over. It's similar with acting. I think that that really helped me transition from football because in my mind, I've been able to just run into people. And you can't do that, not on the football field. You get in trouble, So I needed something to help me transition from that world because the NFL is a very violent game. It's very violent. The mindset is different. People are competing not now like in high school and college just because, they love the game or they're trying to get to the NFL. No, you're competing for a check. And you have 3 kids that need to eat. And there's another guy that's trying to take your job. So the stakes are a lot higher. Billion-dollar corporations, these teams, they're not just teams. They're billion-dollar corporations. So there's pressure on them to make money. There's pressure on them to sell jerseys. There's pressure on them to win. There's pressure on you as a player to help them accomplish all that stuff. And if you can't help them accomplish that, you're going to get fired. So that type of energy is all I knew for the majority of my life. And so I needed something to help me transition psychologically and emotionally. And acting actually became kind of my therapist when I retired. I was able to work with acting coaches and work with other actors and channel all of that football energy into characters. And it helped me a lot. So acting has been like therapeutic for me in producing projects, creating content that I want to see, that I like to see, narratives that I think are important. And all those type of things keep you busy as an entrepreneur, just coming up with ideas for things that I think people need. That's the thing, creating a solution to a problem, I think, for me, is what keeps me busy. Because there's a million problems in the world, obviously, and they all need solutions. So which problems do I think I can help solve? That's what keeps me busy.
That's great. So you founded and invested into several companies. Could you elaborate on some of those ventures, and particularly within the creator economy, such as your film production and the company you created called Caster? So can you talk about those a little bit?
Yeah. So as an actor, after about 5 years, I started to realize, there were a lot of talented people in my acting classes that just couldn't book jobs. They couldn't get agents. They couldn't get managers. I had intimate conversations with some of these actors, and they'd be in tears because they're like, man, I just can't find an agent. I can't find a manager. And I had an agent, and I had a manager, and I felt bad because I'm like, I kind of just did this because I was bored, and this is something that you've been wanting to do your whole life. This is your dream. My dream came true. I played in the NFL. And so that motivated me to create a platform called Caststar, which was a mobile app that allowed actors to create a profile, upload their resume, or upload their acting reel. If you're an actor, if you're a makeup artist, upload your content of you doing makeup. If you're a hairstylist, your content of you, doing hair, and then submitting your profile to job opportunities that people who were looking for your skill set were needing. And so it was a dual-sided platform. If you're looking for, you sign in either as a cast or a caster, someone that's looking to cast or someone that's looking to be cast. That was a problem that I saw in the market, as an example of what I'm saying about creating something that I think is going to help people. Because if you're not passionate about something, someone's like, why do it? So again, I think Caststar was something that was a passion for me. I've been involved in many other platforms. I have a production company. I was tired of casting directors telling me no, when I thought I was good for the role, and I would audition. And so my producer partner and I started our own production company, and we started creating our own projects. And our production company is called Midnight Train Productions, and we have 2 series that we produced. We shot a pilot episode for a TV series called Johnson back in 2016, and we shopped it in LA for like 3 years. Everyone was saying no. Everyone, no. It's a good idea, but no. And then we eventually ended up getting it to Cedric the Entertainer, and he loved the pilot episode, and he agreed to jump on board as an executive producer. And then we collectively shopped it and ended up getting it on Bounce TV. And now 40 episodes later, it's streaming on Hulu right now. So that's just an example of finding a problem, creating the solution, and being consistent with pushing it. And that's what's happened with me, with my production company and in the tech space.
Can you talk a little bit about the funding mechanism for the production company? Like, how is it funded, and then what is the revenue generation? Like, how are you getting revenue from your production company?
Yeah. So with our series Johnson, you take it to a network. The network likes it. They greenlight it. But greenlight it means, hey, we're gonna support it. We're gonna put it on their network. So the series it was greenlit, and then they have a budget. Right. So the budget for our series Johnson season 1 was like $4.1 million. We shoot 10 episodes. So that $4.1 million goes over the 10 episodes. So essentially it's $400,000 per episode. And that $400,000 out of the budget goes towards everything. You have to pay the cast members. You have to pay for wardrobe. You have to pay the crew who's actually filming, the actual guys that are handling the cameras and the lights. You have to pay for the locations. You have to pay for insurance. You have to pay for editors to edit it once you're done. I mean, there's a whole wide range of expenses that come with that budget. And then you get paid as an actor and as a producer, if you're a producer. So you get paid. Me, in my situation, I got paid as an executive producer and as an actor. And then the show was on the air. and then, you know, you have what's called a second window, where once the network's contract is up, whoever you sign with, then you can license it to another platform. So what we did with our series, it was originally on Bounce TV. Once our deal was up with Bounce TV, we licensed it to Hulu. So now Hulu comes in and they give you a specific amount for each episode. And so now you make revenue that way. And again, we produced this show on our own. We put our own money together, me and my producing partner, and we shot a pilot episode with just our friends in 2016. And we shopped it for 3.5 years, and everyone said no. And now literally almost 10 years later, you know, we've benefited from Bounce TV, and now we're benefiting from Hulu. So again, it goes back to creating your own content. You all are so blessed, man. You have social media. I mean, you have like you're one button away from someone seeing your content or seeing your project or whatever your startup company is and saying, I like that. I can connect to that. Where, you know, coming up, I didn't have social media. It took me, I had to rush for 462 yards in one game for somebody to say, oh, Big Stoke, okay, he's down there, you know? And I'm thankful that I did, because there's a lot of Thomas Joneses in this area. And unfortunately, sometimes, you know, football, which is a little bit of a bigger stage, you know, from the sports world, you know, that gets sometimes a little more attention. But, you know, at the same time, I mean, listen, this is a content creator world. You are in control of your own destiny 100% now. You have access to the most powerful machine ever invented, your phone and Instagram and Twitter and TikTok. So again, man, like, you know, I'm just happy that you all have more access than I had, because I really, really, I know how talented you all are. I know your ambitions. I know your dreams. And sometimes when you come from a smaller area, it just seems like no one's going to know, but they will know. I shopped my series for 4 years, and now it's on Hulu. 3 C's to Be. That's what I used with that show. You told me, Netflix said no. HBO said no. Showtime said no. Everybody said no. One yes. All it takes is one yes to make your dream come true. You just have to continue to believe and push it. And that one yes will happen. Trust me, it's happened for me my whole life, because I just won't give up.
Did you get connected with those networks because of your relationships in LA, or did those come from somewhere else?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of those relationships were just, I didn't know these people, but Instagram. Hey, Google. Who's at Netflix? Who's in charge of acquisitions? Who's in charge of acquisitions at Showtime? Who's in charge of acquisitions at Stars? Who's in that? Hey, this is, you know, a DM. This is Thomas Jones, and I have a series. We have a teaser. Here's a link with the password. Would love to circle back with me. Love you to circle back with me if you're interested. I mean, yeah, you have access to reach out to these people. And they have, you know, the obligation to reach back out to you, because they need you now. The content creators have put pressure on the networks and studios because they need you now, because you can do it by yourself without them. So they have to come find you. The tables have completely turned. And that was in 2016. 2025, I mean, content creators, I'm trying to keep up with you all. I'm like, hey, y'all want to work for my company? I'm like, I need y'all's energy and progressive thinking, to push forward what I'm doing. So, yeah, social media, man. And don't be scared. Don't be scared to reach out to these people and connect with these people. Investors online. There's so many different funds if you're looking for funding for your platforms. There's so many funds. So many people. It's just taking the time, doing the due diligence, and being specific. The devil's in the details. Little details equal big results. Little details equal big results in anything. It's the crazy thing about sports. Anything that I use to motivate me in sports, it's easily transferable into anything else, especially in this space as a creator.
When you were in high school or growing up, were you always into the arts, or was that something that, because like football was your life, like football was going to be your ticket to do whatever it was in life, but were you always into the arts?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up, my parents, they made sure we had A's and B's. So if we didn't have A's and B's, we couldn't play. They told our coaches that. The Coach Robbins knew that. I think we played Lebanon. I had a C. And Coach Robbins worked his
That's
magic.
not a part of the 3 C's.
No, that was the 4th C. I had a C. I think it was in an English class. My junior year, we were playing Lebanon. Biggest game of my career. Still to this day, arguably the biggest game of my career. It was a half-state game. 1 game away from the state championship. And I ended up getting a C in English. And Coach Robbins, I said, Coach, I have a C, man. Can you talk to him? And so he said, I'll talk to Thomas and Betty, and let's see if we can get this figured out. So he didn't talk to them, actually. He was just as scared to talk to them as I was. He went and talked to my teacher. I think it was Miss Kelly. That was her name, and asked if I could do extra credit to elevate my grade. And she said yes. After both of us asked her, and she let me, and I did it, and I was able to get a B. So I just think for me, although football was something that was important, being a good person, being a smart person. For example, my dad would take the sports page out of the newspaper on Saturdays after a big game because he wanted me to read the front page first. So I read the front page, what was inside, and the back page. And when I was done, then he would give me the sports page. So I was always kind of conditioned and trained to think football was obviously something I loved, but it was recreational. And, I think just overall, being in a position where, you have relationships with people and you have opportunities, to take advantage of those situations, I think and I'm kind of sidetracking from the question, but I just want to make sure you understand this point. Like, being a good person is arguably the best part about coming from this area. You know what I mean? That's what's gotten me, my demeanor, my humility is what people really respect about me and appreciate about me. And sometimes that's how you open the door. It's just your humility, man. Being humble enough to learn, being humble enough to ask, being humble enough to acknowledge that if you don't know something, because if you don't know it, you don't know it. Acting like you don't know it's not going to change anything. Finding out the information, that's what's worked for me. It's opened up so many doors for me, and I'm just passing that along to you all because, the morals that you learn from this place and the upbringing that you have here, it allows you, it opens doors outside of this place.
I happen to think your most important game was the AFC Championship when you were with the New York Jets. Come on.
Jet up.
Jet up, baby. So given your success and deep connections to this region, what are your hopes for the future of Greater Appalachia? I know you think about home a lot. What are your hopes for the future, and what do you want to actually see for its growth?
I hope that you all continue to have events like this. This is what it is. It's creating awareness. It's not where you are, it's what you're doing. And you can do anything that anyone else is doing right where you are. I was excited when you reached out to me because I was like, wow, I've been to these events before, but I'm happy that this is happening here. I'm happy that you started with an idea, you've grown the idea from where it started, which I'm sure wasn't this, right, a few years ago, and now look.
We were scrappy the first year.
But now look, you've earned the respect of so many people that actually came, and these are all people who see the value in this, and these are all dreamers, and these are all people with ambitions and goals. That's why they're here. You wouldn't have come to this if we all weren't like-minded people. You wouldn't have come. You wouldn't have taken time out of your schedule and out of your day to show up here. So I just hope that what you all are doing, what everyone out here is doing on their own, I just hope that you continue to do it and continue to grow it and continue to believe that whatever you want to do in this life, you can do it. You can do it. This is a testament. I mean, the last time I was here was a football camp that I had in 2004, I think, 2005. Before that, it was Clinch Valley. And I'm walking through the gym, and I follow UVA Wise on social media, and I always retweet everything, the sports, and I'm like, I was kind of like starstruck when I walked in the gym. I'm like, wow, I've seen this on Twitter, like, but I know what this used to be, and I know what it is now, So I would just love to see, this continue to grow, and everyone in here just to connect and put all your ideas together and continue to grow this whole area in general in this space. Because football obviously is great, sports is great, but the world is a lot more than sports.
I thought sports would be my life for a short period of time. I was at your football camp, by the way, as a high school football player, which was super awesome. But to the students and the leaders and the entrepreneurs in the room who are from this area, which most people are from Greater Appalachia, what are some of the top pieces of advice to make it, if you would, in their chosen field? And what's the key to finding that success when you come from a place that is often overlooked?
Again, the due diligence. Just do the work. Just do the work. Every startup company from Amazon to Google, the most successful company started right where you're starting. They were just in a different location. The beautiful thing about what you all can do now is you don't have to be in a major city. You can be right in your room, right in your office. The biggest multi-million-dollar, billion-dollar companies all started from just sitting in a chair with an idea and a computer and your phone and Google. It's all up to you. At this point, it's not about where you're from anymore. Back then, yeah, it was in the sports space just because it's a very secluded area and it was just hard to get visibility within because, you have Newport News and Hampton, you have Northern Virginia, you have Central Virginia, Charlottesville, then you have, down to Roanoke. But once you get further down in this area, it's such a big state that it's almost like, okay, we kind of like just so happen to end up in this like mute space. But that was then. That was 30 years ago. My story is from 30 years ago. 2025, you all hold all the cards right in your hand. You just have to do the due diligence. Find a problem that needs to be solved. People will pay to solve a problem. I mean, if your air conditioning goes out and you're sweating in your house, an HVAC person is closest thing to God. You're going to pay him to come fix your AC. And if you take that mindset of paying someone to fix a problem, then that should motivate you to create a platform that solves a problem. And you can easily do that from your phone. There's so much information on social media. A lot of it is just you taking the actual time, whether it's saying, hey, I'm going to take 5 hours out of this day to do this, this, and this. And I'm going to take 5 hours out of the next day to do this, this, and this. Also, too, it's better to work as a team. So if you have someone that's like-minded, that's ambitious, that's hardworking like you, collaborate. Put ideas together. Put it on paper. That's another thing. Put it on paper. Write it down. You can visualize it. I would highly recommend you all listening to a podcast that I listen to. Sometimes I just go to sleep to this. And I started this about 15 years ago when someone randomly from the gym, just random, but it wasn't random, but it was, came to me and said, hey, have you heard of this guy named Earl Nightingale? And I was like, what? Who are you? Why are you even talking to me? Like, I'm working out away from everybody. And he was like, it was on his spirit to tell me something. And he told me, this guy, Earl Nightingale, he has this podcast that he thinks I should listen to called The Strangest Secret. And I was like, oh, okay, cool, man. Like, that's cool. It was a little weird because I'm all the way over here, but I was like, okay, cool, man, no doubt. So about 3 days later, I pulled it up on YouTube and I listened to it, The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale. And when I listened to it, it made a lot of things make sense to me. So I would suggest that, anyone in here that's a thinker, that's a creator, that's ambitious, take a listen to it. I've been listening to it for 15 years now, and it feels like the first time every time. It's a really powerful podcast. Earl Nightingale, The Strangest Secret. I just think, like I said, you all are incredible. I think you're talented, and I just want to see you thrive. And in any way that I can help you, in any way that I can be of any assistance at all to anybody in this room, let me know. I'm proud to be from Big Stone Gap. I'm proud to be from Southwest Virginia. What I've been able to do and accomplish is a direct correlation to who I became from being from this area. And I look forward to seeing you all accomplish everything that you're looking to accomplish, because you can and you will.
I don't think we could have had a better ending to this conversation. This has been such an inspiring story. I'm so glad you're back home and willing to invest time and back into the region and give back in the way that you have today. It's just really kind of you. And, it's just amazing. I don't know. I don't have really any other words to describe it, but I've looked up to you for so long, and now we're right here sitting beside of each other. So this has been
now I look up to you all. I look up to you all because I do really appreciate you all giving everyone this platform to retain the information and to be inspired, hopefully, to move on. Because I think at this point my legacy and my journey is, how can I help? I know what it feels like to lay on my bed and look at the ceiling and think, man, will I ever get a chance to play Division I football? Will I ever get a chance to play in the NFL? Will anyone ever know who I am or see my talent? Or will I even get the chance? I know what that feels like. And, I want to be able to help someone else's dreams come true, just like mine did, from this area.
Thomas, welcome back home. Thank you. Everybody give it up for Thomas.